Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. This time, it's not going to be technical. I will do another video on ICE right after this, so this will be the first of two videos. But this is related to ICE or just NAC in entirety, right? Doesn't really matter what NAC solution you're using. Cisco ICE, FortiNAC, ClearPass, Port Knox. There's a plethora of them out there, right? The conversations I have with a lot of people, and this is really directed to like our, CTO, CIOs, director of networking, network manager, whatever, right? We got to stop treating ICE or just network access control as a checklist item. Okay. When I get in these conversations, it's either we're just trying to say we have it and we're not really focused on the solution as a whole. We just want to have it on our checklist to say, yes, we did it. Let me tell you something. If that is the mindset you're going to have about network access control, just don't implement it, period. Because there's a lot of things that network access control will expose in terms of bad network management, right? Case in point, standardization on devices in your network. If you're going to use device profiling, and you have 60 different type of devices on your network, you're going to have to profile all those devices. It's just what it is. And when I'm in these conversations, you can see like they're like, most of the conversations I have, people will go, "Hey, can you just, is there an easy way that we can just do all this without having to, profile all 60 devices?" And the answer is no. You're going to have to profile the devices if you want to secure your network using network access control. If you might as well not even have it if you're not going to actually manage it manage it and optimize it for your network. And it doesn't matter what you're using, right? The second mistake is trying to mix and match NAC solution to, network device ecosystem. And what do I mean by that? You'll have people, and I've seen these conversations plenty of times, who will have Forta switches and try to put Cisco ICE in it. It makes no sense, right? Or they'll have Juniper switches and they'll try to put Cisco ICE in there. Or they'll have Cisco switches and they'll try to put Fortinet in it. It doesn't make sense in the long-term grand scheme of things. Why? Because those specific NAC solutions work great in the ecosystem that they were built in. So Cisco stuff works great with Cisco NAC solution. Forta switches work great with Forta NAC solutions, right? Because they specifically integrated them to work with each other, to talk to each other, to give you the capabilities and features that work very well with their brand of network equipment. So again, this is what happens when, at least in my opinion, this is what happens when people are just like, hey, we just need NAC as a checklist item. We just need to say we have it, and that's really it. And then you end up trying to like Franken network a solution together, and then you have holes, or you'll go to and this is the big one, right? You'll go to a conference and they'll tell you about all the whiz bang features, and you're like, oh, well, that's only going to work if we're playing within the ecosystem, right? I can't. I put it together as like Apple, right? Apple works great in the Apple ecosystem. Apple does not work very well when it's outside of the Apple ecosystem. So you should think about your network the same way, right? Especially when it comes to network access solutions or network access control solutions and like switching environment or wireless environment. Like I see some people try to put Aruba with ICE, right? It works. Is it the most optimized and efficient way of doing things? Probably not, right? Or if you're trying to do things like posturing, where there's some network access solutions that, access control solutions that don't really use posturing, right? Or the way they implement posturing may not work if you have a hodgepodge network of different network vendors and stuff like that. And usually with the different vendor thing, that usually comes to you were just trying to be cheap. Let's just be honest here, right? A lot of it is you don't want to pay the price tag. So you're like, hey, can we get a switch that's outside to a different vendor that may be cheaper, and we can implement it with another vendor's NAC solution, and then when the features that that NAC solution could do that only works on that vendor switch that works with the NAC solution comes into play, now you're like, well, we can't really use it, and then you end up blaming the NAC solution, right? Instead of saying, hey, we didn't properly manage the network, we kind of have a hodgepodge of networks. We didn't refresh any equipment, and we really didn't go into this thinking of how this NAC solution is going to gel in our ecosystem. Or even like we may have to refresh equipment so this would work, and then you end up blaming the NAC solution when it's really your implementation was just jacked up from the beginning, right? So that is just a brief video of what I want to talk about. Please, if you're going to implement NAC in your environment, do not treat it like a checklist item. Okay. Understand that this is the first gate that you're going to put in front of your network. This is the first door people got to try to get into, right? So you better make sure that first door is pretty strong, meaning that it's implemented correctly, it's optimized for your environment, and you have the skill set to manage it. That's, I would say that's point number 3. Not having the skill set to actually manage the NAC solution that you're implementing. Now, you know my expertise is Cisco ISE. So this goes out to anybody that wants to implement Cisco ISE and they want to do it correctly and they don't want to deal with a whole bunch of problems. You need to have someone come in and consult with you first before you buy it, and you buy a whole bunch of licensing and you find out you really didn't need what you bought, or what you bought is overkill, right? You want to have that conversation? Links in the description below. You know, I had to plug me, so links in the description below. But again, that I see that problem too. If you're not going to send your internal team to go get some type of training, you're wasting your time. Or you need to buy it. Basically, bring somebody in that knows the solution that can help manage it for you. Links in the description below. Because even if you do a knowledge transfer at the end of a project, there's no way your internal team is going to have enough background information to be able to properly maintain and manage this solution going forward if they don't have the background information on it or the background knowledge. And I see a lot of companies will say, okay, can you give me a run book or knowledge transfer? Yeah, I can give you a run book and I can do a knowledge transfer. But when something comes up that is outside of the run book or outside of the knowledge transfer, you're stuck. Your team is stuck. They have no idea what's going on. They can't troubleshoot it. They don't even know where to look at, which is fine if you have somebody that you're doing a managed service with, right? Something like how we do it here, right? Unless you have that, then I would not go at this just slapping it in and saying, "Hey, IT team, go learn this." They're too busy to try to learn a new solution. And most of the time, when you get into that situation, unfortunately, the implementation is wrong. There's a bunch of holes in that implementation. And then when someone like me comes and say, "Why did you do that?" It's kind of like, well, that was the last guy that did it or the last girl that did it, and we kind of don't know why, right? Thus exposing your network to, a bunch of holes, right? People are getting in, and if you get audited, and some industries require you getting audited. If you get audited, and you will pop on an audit when certain things are not configured correctly, and you can't say as a manager or director of IT or CTO, you can't say, oh, well, that's such and such's job. No, it's your job to make sure the solution was implemented correctly. So that's all I got to say about, network access control and just not treating it as a checklist item, and actually take the time and effort to implement it correctly, or get somebody to implement it for you correctly. And then if you can't manage it, get them to manage it for you as well. Like, links in the description below. I'm going to keep saying that if you're thinking about getting a NAC solution. So this is Don from Padlock Technologies again. If you like more videos like this, I have a bunch of them on this channel. Check them out. But don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, especially this video. Send this out to somebody that's thinking about getting network access control. Before they pull the trigger, send them this video and say, hey, you might want to talk to this guy about this, all right? Appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video. Thank you, and have a nice day.